So, welcome back, everyone. In case you're joining this session right now and wondering a bit, wait, wasn't there a blonde host in the morning? Yes, that's true, but we actually changed it. So it's a pleasure for me to talk to all of you. I'm Patrick. I'm the Director of Marketing here at LiveEO, and to make kind of our lives a bit easier, Andreas was taking care of all the sessions in the morning, at least considering CET. And then I will do the afternoon sessions and make sure that everyone who was just in lunch break is energized again. Obviously, there will be a few people joining in the next 1 or 2 minutes. This is why I will briefly tell you what we've already told you in the morning about the general organization. Then I will quickly talk you through the 3 sessions we have left for, again, the afternoon in CET, or maybe it's the morning for all the people who are joining from the US, or the late evening if you are in Asia. But again, as you did it in the morning, feel more than welcome to use the chat as I'm doing it right now, but also right underneath the chat, you will find the Q&A section. It has been used quite heavily, I would say, during the morning. So basically, we decided that we will gather all the questions that have been asked in the morning, and obviously that will be asked in the afternoon, into, I would say, document. Probably it's going to be a whole novel at this point. We will try to answer everything. Give us 1 or 2 days. Probably tomorrow you will receive the standard, hey, thank you for attending email. You can watch all the recordings. You can forward it to colleagues as well. And then beginning of the next week, we will have the proper document with all the questions in it. They should be able to kind of find your questions if they have not been answered during the first 3 sessions. All right, and I can see the chat is working again. Arnold has already texted something. That's good. People are joining the session. And then a bit more context maybe about the afternoon sessions here, or the upcoming 3 sessions. So basically, I think in the morning, we've learned a lot about the EUDR itself again, right? And we're talking a lot about the legal requirements, also the required capabilities, what you guys kind of need to fulfill in order to become compliant. So it was more the theory, which is obviously really important, but our thought was to kind of put this into practice then in the upcoming sessions, and Piero will start with basically putting all the requirements we have kind of on a timeline and guide you through a potential way of fulfilling these required capabilities. He will show you a few different ways, I would say, with which you can fulfill all these required capabilities. Afterwards, I will do a quick panel session or interview with Paul from Sheridan. He is actually in charge of the EUDR project for the Sheridan Group, and will basically tell you a bit more on how they are preparing for EUDR, because I think for now we've talked a lot to and with lawyers, obviously with the EUDR competent authority itself, but it's also good to have the company perspective on it. Well, and then in the end, Chris from LiveEO will kind of put all of it together and actually show you our solution here. We've briefly talked about it, but he will do a full demo and a full deep dive. In case you are looking for a suitable EUDR end-to-end solution, you should definitely stay until the end here. And well, he studied law as well, so you will be able to ask him any further question there too. All right, so Piero is here with me on stage. I haven't introduced you yet, but Piero is the Director of Partnerships at LiveEO. But I think what's even more important is that Piero has been kind of part of the funding team for TradeAware, again, our EUDR solution. So he's done a lot of talks with companies, but also with partners we can see in the market during the past, I think, 2 or 2.5 years. So a very knowledgeable guy in this kind of space. And yeah, welcome, Piero.
Thank you, Patrick. And yeah, it's great to join you for these next 45 minutes. The session today will be very practical. I'll try to make it relevant for everybody here, and hopefully very useful. And it comes from essentially the insights of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations with operators, traders, and even producers of these commodities that have come to us, and they've asked us, Levio, can you help us with this problem? And then we began the conversation. And so you'll see it's a flow that I structured in 6 blocks, because 6 are the main actions that you'll have to complete as part of the EUDR. You know, there are 3 big groups, right? There is the evidence collection, there is the risk assessment, and then there is the the proof of the product compliance. These are the 3 macro groups. But if we structure it into further, these are really the actions that you have to complete in the remaining 7-8 months in this year. And the first one being obviously the collection of the geolocations or plots. I'll be using these 2 terms interchangeably today. This means that you'll have to work with your suppliers or maybe sub-suppliers to collect where the commodities that you've been sourcing come from around the globe. So that's action number 1. Action number 2 is the collection of supplier questionnaires, meaning you'll have to not only ask for geolocations, but also for information from your suppliers. And this information has to do with their contact details, where they're incorporated, whether they have lawfully sourced these commodities around the world. And they'll have to submit, as with everything, transparent and reliable proof. Then we'd move from Article 9 into Article 10 of the law, and that's the deforestation assessment. That's the first of the 2 assessments that will have to happen. This means that you'll have to prove that no change of land use happened between 2021 or right before that and today, right? So you cannot have transition from jungle to, let's say, palm oil after that date. How do you do that? We'll see it in a moment. The 4th step in Article 10 is the overall risk assessment. Here comes also the legal part and the assessment of what happened and what was uploaded in step number 2. And if we proceed, then there will be step 5. How do we tie everything that happened from step 1 to 4 at transaction level? And this can mean literally a container or a lorry coming into the EU market, because that's the level you'll have to report at. And then finally, obviously, you'll have to package this all into a due diligence statement, uploading into EU Traces, so the portal where the evidence has to be submitted, and you can get the go that these goods can come into the EU, and you can make use of them and transform them into goods that you'll be selling to your consumers. Now, these are the 6 steps. I won't bore you with what those are any longer, because you've heard it enough. I've summarized it now, but I want to summarize instead what the operators and traders that we've worked with over the last 2 years have done so far about it. And I'll be structuring the 2 solution sets into quick fixes and durable solutions. And I'll highlight the pros and the cons of each of the 2, because there are pros and cons of each of the 2. I'll show you some tricks on how to convert durable solutions also into potentially quick ones. And then whether you want to pick the quick fix or the durable solution, I'll plot a project plan, a timeline so that you can implement it. And as I said, this has come not from me, but from what companies around the world are doing or have done or have tried. And maybe they've experimented, failed, or succeeded right away. So yeah, this is take it as a market research condensed in just 40 minutes left. Right, so what do we define as a quick fix? A quick fix is essentially something that we're all familiar with. It's easy to think of, plan, conceive. It really has to do with an established practice. Also, you'll see that quick fixes are very much one-to-one associations between the task to be solved, one of those 6, and the solution. So it's one-on-one, right? Solution to problem. And then third, you'll see that they tend to be having to deal with, they're more like internalization attempts, right? Meaning you just trying to insource what the task it is to be done rather than outsourcing. And the benefits that usually these quick fixes have are the ability to definitely save costs in 2025, create some short-term impact, meaning that you can tick all the boxes and say, yes, I complied with the law. Durable solutions instead, they're different. You'll see that they're a little more innovative, different from the way probably you've been doing things in past projects. And they require obviously some research and learning on technologies, on what's the best way to accomplish each of these 6 tasks. And you'll see that they're more part of a coherent solution, not one-to-one associations. And finally, there's a little more delegation, right? So it's more about playing to people's strengths rather than trying to do it all internally. And the advantages that you'll see here, relatively speaking, compared to the quick fixes, they're more about business resilience. So maintaining the status quo from 2026 onwards, better responding to the audit proofs, to the audits with proof, and the audits we know they're going to come from 2026 onward. And also, you'll see that there's a component where you can set yourself apart from the competition. Good. Now let's start this journey. We have these 6 blocks. You'll see here, you can follow in the bottom left corner where we stand at each and every point in time. Each of these 6 have the same exact scheme. There are 4 views and slides for each of these blocks. And I'll show you what the quick fixes are, the durable solutions are, pros and cons, and essentially what is recommended depending on your context and situation. Plot data. Before I go into quick fixes and durable solutions, I want to summarize for each of these 6 steps what exactly you have at this stage and what you need to collect or produce by the end of this stage. Now here we're in Article 9, as I said. By this point, you will have already probably known how much quantity of a certain commodity you will have imported from your suppliers, and you'll know the contact information, obviously, of who you're working with. What you need to achieve here is you'll need to match this with the geolocations, right? The plots of data where this commodity is coming from, and where in the world, meaning a country, they're coming from, right? The country is really important here because of the risk profile that's going to be released very soon. And by the end of this this step, you will have built the evidence or most of the evidence that you'll need to produce a deforestation-free assessment. So what we've heard from the market when it comes to quick fixes is one of these 3 solutions. We've heard companies that want to store plot files, such as the GeoJSON ones or SHP, in a general cloud storage service that we all use for in our working lives. We've also seen that they organize them usually by supplier, right? So there's a folder by supplier with all these GeoJSON files stored within, and usually they're collected as part of the informal flow of procurement manager to supplier conversation. So it's done really informally as one of the many items, obviously, that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And this quick fix does the job, right? It does not require any external tool. It's something obviously you're familiar with because it's your day-to-day conversation with your suppliers, and it's obviously informal, so it tends to, it's maybe seen as less bumpy, right? When it comes to a durable solution, instead, what other companies have done instead is been to work with a tool that has geospatial capabilities and have uploaded these plots in this tool to visualize them and then to enable actionability, right? So if you upload them somewhere where they're visible, they can be analyzed. And usually they've sent this request for plot collection to their suppliers as part of a coherent plan. And they've sent consistent requests equally the same to everybody so that every supplier knows exactly what they need to provide, and let's say no exceptions are granted, and everybody, it constitutes an opportunity to train your suppliers. And so the advantage here is more in the simplicity, right? Because we're standardizing the requests we send out. It's actionability, because if you store them in the drive folder, what are you going to do with them? And then consistency, right? All suppliers get the same request and know what to do. Now, if you were to go for quick fix, you should also consider the following second, third order consequences. And the first one is, as I just touched on, even if you store them there, right, these plots of land, what do? You can't analyze them right away. You'll still need a tool with geospatial capabilities to make sense of them and proceed with the risk assessment, which is the step 3. What happens in case your suppliers start uploading plots of land in different formats? You're going to have to be the one converting or asking again for the correct file format, and that's obviously time consuming. Many of you probably have hundreds of suppliers, so how do you store all of these content in a way that it's accessible and easy to pull in case of an audit? How do you help your suppliers collect those plots, right? Because oftentimes your direct suppliers don't have knowledge of where they source these commodities. Maybe it's 2, 3, 4, 5 levels down, and there needs to be a way for your direct suppliers also to go back to their own suppliers, sub-suppliers, and collect this evidence in a way that it's easy and scalable. As I said before, if you do this consistently and create a moment to educate your supplier base, this is seen clearly as more durable, right? Because you're bringing your suppliers along with you on this journey. And obviously, if they lack this knowledge, I've touched already upon this, you'll need a way to help them. Now, the durable solution looks closer to what I'm seeing. I'm showing you to you here. We define it as a commercial network. It's much like a social network where you, your suppliers and sub-suppliers, you're all exchanging information with each other for free, including the plots of land. Avoid repetitive entry, avoid emails, send out consistent requests with the same file format, and anonymity is preserved between skip levels, right? So you would only be able to see the contact details of your direct suppliers, but not their own suppliers, so that the status quo supply chains is maintained. And obviously, this tool should contain a visualization component where these plots can be seen, can be analyzed. And visually speaking, it will look more or less like this. You'll see that we have at the top a forest owner providing the plots to a forestry cooperative who works with a wood trader, who works with a furniture maker, and all this evidence is cascading down upstream to downstream, including the geolocations, of course. And you'll want to look at them this way, have a way to understand, okay, is this farm okay? Is this farm not okay? And what within it is suffered from land use change between 2021 and today. So is a solution, a tool that includes all these features is what helps you become more durable when it comes to task number 1, plot data. Now, let's move into supplier questionnaires. That's step 2, and we'll conclude Article 9. Here, at this point, you will know that you still obviously know the product quantity you've sourced and the contact information. But what you need to collect here from your suppliers is the proof that they've sourced these goods in a compliant way, right? So they managed, owned, sourced, and harvested this land and the commodities within in a legal way, and also proof that they've worked well with the local population. Once this job has been completed, you will have been already on the way to show that you have worked in accordance with the local legislation, which is also a requirement of the EUDR. Now, what happens with the quick fixes here? We have seen companies that create their own questionnaires at home, right? And this is usually containing familiar speak that is either company jargon, industry jargon, and it's normal, right? Because it's the language you use in your everyday. And the second solution that we've seen has been more of a one-size-fits-all questionnaire for all countries, because you probably are sourcing commodities from multiple countries, and it tends to build up as a lot of work, right? If you start creating country-specific questionnaires. And third, we've seen companies hiring service providers, such as a law firm or a sustainability expert team, or even benchmarking the questionnaire to what competition has done. Durable solutions usually have one of these 3 components, or all of them, right? They create user-friendly but also legally vetted questionnaires. They break down the questionnaire by country, and they essentially do not customize the questionnaire, because the law is the same for everybody, and the questions to ask shouldn't really differ. Now, the pros of the quick fix have been obviously the much like what I said in step 1. No tool would be required. You create your own questionnaire. The language is familiar, and it's a tailored service in case you hire a provider, an external one. For the durable one, you'll see in a moment why robustness, audit-proof, and scalability are the principles that the durable solution sticks with. In fact, there are a bunch of second and third order consequences here too, in case you go for the quick fix. The first one is, how do I know, how am I sure that the way I design the questionnaire is exactly what the EUDR needs, and in a way that it's user-friendly, comprehensible to everybody, even a few levels down the or up the supply chain, and that it's audit-proof. How confident am I that this questionnaire is so clear to understand and solid, such that I will collect exactly the material that I need? Obviously, questionnaires will come from suppliers, sub-suppliers, so easily you will collect dozens or hundreds, and you'll need an easy way to store them. You will also need to help your suppliers collect this documentation, because maybe this sits with tier 2, tier 3, or someone beyond there. How do I track that everybody in my supply chain has done the job and has completed the questionnaire and uploaded the documentation that I need? And obviously, again, if this is done informally, we'd miss an opportunity to train suppliers and sub-suppliers as to the work that has to be done. Now, the durable solution looks closer to what you see here, right? So as part of the commercial network, you would, along with the plot data, you'll send a request to collect a consistent set of answers and documents that have been legally vetted by someone that is experienced at the EUDR, and obviously is country specific. Okay, so this is the comparison between quick fix and durable solution when it comes to Article 9. We're moving now into Article 10. That's when the assessment happens. And I broke it down, as I said, into deforestation and overall risk assessment, because it's easier from a solution standpoint to understand the actions to take. Now here, Article 9, if you've done Article 10, if you've done Article 9 successfully here, you will have collected all the plots. You will know where your commodities are coming from. You will have obviously your questionnaires, but now you need to understand whether you have caused indirectly or directly a land use change, right? A transition from natural forest to one of the crops that are part of the EUDR. And so you'll have to go back in history and compare that to today. Right, so once you've done that, obviously you'll probably be mostly done or fully done with your, the creation of the proof that you're deforestation free. Quick fixes here. There are 3 actions that usually companies like you take. Either they review manually the images from the area where they think or where they were told that they're sourcing their commodities from. It could be Google Maps, Google Earth, and obviously, those can be many plots of land. Easily for someone downstream, this amounts to thousands or hundreds of thousands. Second option is to use obviously the open source maps, such as the EU JRC one that we've heard about a little in the previous session. And then thirdly, the quick fix is to use a traceability tool that you already work with, if you have one, and then apply the EUDR module and call it a day, right? So in this case, obviously you would save on or leverage existing tools, whatever you have. So the benefit is clear. Now the durable solution here ensures that all commodities and regions are covered globally. So no manual work should happen, because this can take forever to review every plot of land, and probably humans are not the best ones at recognizing the difference between the forest behind me and palm oil. The second component is durable solutions really optimize for accuracy. We'll see in one slide why that's important, and you will have verified that whoever you work with is really mastering geospatial data, because this is what it's all about, right? The risk assessment. The consequences you'll minimize, as you'll see in the moment, are in procurement, sales, and legal. I see many of you come from one of these three teams, especially procurement, and you'll see why a durable solution will simplify your life in 1 year from now. Now, here's the problem. In case you go for a quick fix, this is a plot of, it's a picture actually with 8 plots of land from Thailand, and these are supposedly rubber fields. And you'll see that there are 3, 6, 9 plots of land actually, and 2 of them on the left-hand side are shaded in red because the tool, open source tool here, recognized them as non-compliant. Deforestation happened there. So that's 2 out of 8 or 2 out of 9 if you consider the one on the left-hand side that's cut. What we've done is we've seen that actually going there and tailoring the algorithm to actually land use change, not deforestation, and really tailoring the algorithm to the commodity, in this case rubber, and to the area, in this case Thailand, returns a more accurate result. So actually all 8 or all 9 of these plots of land were fine. So they were not non-compliant, they were compliant. And imagine you're scaling this problem to thousands of farms. These consequences will happen, right? Because 2 out of 8 means 25% less, fewer farms eligible to sell rubber, palm oil, or timber to you. This means that you will have to discard plots of land, possibly discard inputs that you have maybe already purchased or were planning to purchase. You may have to renegotiate your contracts with suppliers or sub-suppliers, which is even harder. And this is obviously creating an impact eventually in the revenue line, right? If you buy less product, you risk selling less of your derivative. And this is in the case of a over alert that we call false positive here, right? So you see that there are 2 plots of land that were called non-compliant, while they were actually totally fine. And in the case of a false negative, so an under alert, that would obviously expose you for a fine. So accuracy here is critical. Otherwise, it's really the situation of garbage in, garbage out. So you want to have this done in the most possible durable way, right? Now, the durable solution looks like this. It has to have an algorithm, geospatially speaking, that optimizes for land use change detection and is tailored to every commodity and every region in the world, because the context looks different. So the machine has to understand different contexts. And you want to have someone who can explain this methodology very clearly to you, and that can produce obviously an analysis that then ties into a plot level document, a transaction level document, right? Because that's the level at which you're gonna report. And so here accuracy marries actionability, and that's where the direction that, in case you want to minimize long-term consequences, you want to move into. Perfect. We move into risk assessment, and with that we conclude risk Article 10. At this point, you will have had your questionnaires filled by your suppliers and sub-suppliers. They would have uploaded documentation. And what you need to achieve here is you need to assess those questionnaires, those documents, and make sure that all the sourcing has been done lawfully. So quick fixes. We've seen all of these 3 hundreds of times. It's the first ideas that operators and traders had. The first one was I'm going to review them internally myself, one by one, everything that is being sent to me over by email or any other tool. The second one is I'm going to have AI figure this out. So I'll have AI understand whether the answers are solid and read the content of the document. Or I will just outsource this to a service provider, someone experienced at sustainability and law. And obviously there are advantages here too. No tool required because it's all handled internally or outsourced, but to a service provider. And it's obviously the first ideas one could have as to how to speed this up, right? Because it can easily get into the hundreds of documents if you sum up all the tiers of your supply chain. A durable solution looks more like this. You will have outsourced the review to country-specific experts, so that's the keyword, country-specific. These experts must be experts at the local law, because these are local requirements you have to cater to. And then you'll probably want to have a tool that has a built-in expert review, some third-party team that can say, yes, okay, I understand whatever has been uploaded here, and I can say that you're fine. And here, the consequences are pretty severe, right, in case you go for a quick fix. The first one is, I mean, many of you are sourcing tropical commodities from many countries around the world, from LATAM, West Africa, Southeast Asia. I'm sure there's North American timber, there's material coming from all over. So you're gonna have to have experts across the globe at all of these, in all of these local legislations to be able to say, yes, that's fine. Well, in case you wanna hire internally or assign this project to someone internally, you're gonna have to have a team that has this global, legal, and sustainability knowledge and can work with your suppliers. That tends to be cumbersome. And then if we go concretely here, right? So how do I verify a Malaysian harvesting right, Ghanaian cadastral document, Peruvian proof of consultation with indigenous people? I don't know what organization can get this done cheaply as well, right? Because this can cost a fortune if you have to have at the same time experts from all these countries and all these documents. And we've heard it before also in the session with the competent authority from Czechia, that AI probably won't be fully accepted as the one and only solution. And AI, we know nowadays, probably is not immediately available at recognizing the validity of a cadastral documentation from Ghana, harvesting right proof from Malaysia, and so on and so forth. Right. So the durable solution here looks more like this, right? So you'll have access to legal sustainability experts from everywhere in one tool, and AI is deployed, but with caution, right, where it's best, but still supervised by experts. And then you'll have to ensure that whoever you work with has the capacity to work with hundreds or thousands of documents that are going to come your way. Every supplier will probably upload multiple. Perfect. Now let's move to the end. I grouped these two because they're pretty similar in the way you want to go about them. And this is Article 11, right? It's submitting the proof, the due diligence statement, and interacting with traces and really getting it all done. Complex slide that where the takeaway is just there are several systems here, right? There's your ERP, which usually is the system that contains transaction level data. That probably you want to make it work with another tool that does everything I just showed to you. That interacts with traces. And obviously there is you uploading maybe something, but most importantly, the suppliers interacting with the tool. And the suppliers, you don't really want to have them interact with traces. And obviously they want to have access with the ERP. So there should be an intermediary system that does all of the above and can connect traces to ERP to match supplier level insights with transaction level insights, package it all as a DDS, send it over to traces, and receive the reference number and be done with it. Now, companies often have gone about this step this way. They'll often said, okay, we'll just manually upload a DDS, we'll just keep entirely the ERP integration, or I will just do it internally with my IT team, or I will outsource it to a system integrator that worked for me on a different project. Again, here you'll save on an existing tool, and you'll probably have a customized implementation because your own team or a system integrator that works with you already will know already the configuration of your ERP. A more durable solution instead has these characteristics. There is a flexible API for sure, right? Because it needs to withstand any type of ERP configuration. You would work with ERP experts, but also traces experts that have done a EUDR project before. And you'll probably work with someone that has been recommended by a tool because it's someone who has worked with ERPs and has worked with traces and has worked with the tool. And this way you will avoid hiring more and more service providers and just centralize everything in one solution. So that's where coordination costs get cut, and you're probably more likely to implement on time because everyone is experienced at what they're doing. And you know that these things can take longer than planned very easily. Now, second, third order consequences of going for a quick fix. How confident am I that I will get this done by year end? If my team or a system integrator I worked on before on this has not worked with traces and EUDR before. Can my team get it done? Probably yes, maybe not. How high am I on the priority list of my service provider, the system integrator? And what happens in case you want to skip the integration if the number of transactions that are eligible for EUDR just is too big or grows over time and becomes unmanageable because manual work isn't fun. And then whoever I work with, can they provide a proof point that they've done it successfully before? And again, if I start hiring another external team, and this is added to all of those before, right? The law firm, the sustainability experts, my costs will probably balloon. So a solution that is more durable looks like this. There will be an architecture that can link supplier level insights into to transaction level insights and then communicate with traces, has a pre-tested integration into traces, and works with system integrators that have been trained and have completed similar projects in the past and can carefully estimate how long it takes so that you have the confidence that you're going to get it done on time. Okay, we're done with the 6 steps. Now, what I want to do is recap all of the above, compare quick fixes and durable solutions, and then maybe propose a way forward. Now, if we sum it all up, quick fixes have these characteristics and benefits. They'll save you costs this year, right? So in case you haven't reserved a budget, maybe this is one way to go about it. But you should consider also what I showed you earlier. You probably wouldn't have to work with a tool. You could keep things informal with your suppliers because it's just part of the day-to-day, and they wouldn't have to adopt or use any tool. You'll be able to tailor the questionnaires to your own jargon. You wouldn't have to educate yourself on what technology can get it all done. And here we've seen that there is, it's a cross-functional project. There's geospatial, there's legal, there's IT altogether. But you'd probably end up hiring teams of system integrators, third-party reviewers of documentation, and a law firm or sustainability experts. What joins instead, what binds all durable solutions together instead is the following. You'd minimize revenue, legal, and procurement consequences from 2026 onwards, when the EUDR comes into force. You would more likely entrust the compliance journey to a tool that has been built exactly for this. You would have to onboard and educate your suppliers on what needs to be done, obviously. And you would adopt a consistent standard language when it comes to questionnaire, especially that mirrors the EUDR requirements. You would have to do a little bit of, obviously, education of yourselves and the suppliers on what geospatial legal solutions can get it done. And probably you'd end up with more of an end-to-end solution, avoid hiring several teams of contractors to work together. Now, there are 3 reasons, obviously, why a durable solution is something I would recommend. The first one has to do with costs. We have seen, especially in the step number 3, how you may end up resourcing less product than you should be able to because of over-alerting. That will end up costing, obviously, in terms of contract renegotiation, possibly sourcing less product and selling fewer units of derivative. Now, the impacts could be really big, up to 42% is what we've seen in analysis that isn't fit for purpose would return in terms of error rate. And that's something you should consider already now because it may impact already 2026 performance. The second point is the legal risk, right? In case of under-alerting in this case, obviously you would be exposed to a fine, or in case your questionnaire isn't fit for purpose, it will be probably harder to respond to an audit coming in the next years. And then obviously it's a lot of human hours, right? It's about hiring contractors, and the expenses will balloon. Second reason, it's the timeline. So this is what we have seen. It takes on average a company to get each of these steps done in green. It's a few months at the beginning, right? Because you'll have to train your suppliers, you'll have to onboard them on a tool and get them all to agree to a common process. And the truth is that if we're going to quick fix and not having a proper tool or someone experienced at exactly this is how much longer we we have seen it took to companies like you. And you'll see that some of this timeline actually exceeds or goes past the go live deadline. So the third reason why a durable solution is actually preferable is that it can be quicker, as I said, than a quick fix, because a tool can actually unleash automation, and you can automate nearly every step that I showed you, probably every one of them. Supplier invites, right? That it can be done with a tool, but you know, if the tool offers an API, you can just have your ERP communicate with the tool and bulk send invites to all your suppliers so that you don't have to do it manually. When it comes to importing transactions, well, also the tools API will have to import these transactions, including the weight, the commodity type from the ERP or whichever tool hosts these transaction data, so that you won't have to do this manually. The third one is the upload of the evidence. This is something you want to outsource to suppliers and not have to you know, babysit everybody and send emails and reminders and so on. So outsourcing this by a tool that sends reminders and standardizes requests is desirable. When it comes to risk mitigation and assessment, you want to have AI deployed where it can fully do the job, such as the geospatial part, and you want to have also legal experts, third-party reviewers to review documentation where AI cannot be fully trusted. The creation of the DDS document, you want to have, obviously, this one should be automated by a tool. And finally, the upload of the DDS into traces should be automated, as well as the returning the reference number. Perfect. So I'm done, and I'm essentially through with all these steps and how to get it all done in practice. Stay tuned, obviously, for the next 2 sessions to hear how Sheridan has been doing it, and also Chris, who is going to show you what a durable solution looks like, the one that Livio has built. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. I think there were a few comments and questions here, obviously, so maybe we can just do 1 or 2 questions until and then hop into the next session, because I'm pretty sure you can answer them. And for the rest, again, sorry, a lot of questions, but we will answer them in our big EUDR novel next week. But there were a few questions about the API of TradeAware, actually, like, how open is it? Can you use it with other tools? Maybe you can just quickly elaborate on our API in this case.
Definitely. I don't know if we have this planned for later. It's a good idea. We can show this to you. It's available. It's public. It does communicate with whichever ERP system out there, and it supports exactly all these steps. So it's designed exactly to solve EUDR at scale. So you don't have to manually type in transaction level data, or manually type in suppliers' email addresses to send out invites, or yeah, essentially these are the main time savers.
Yeah, that sounds good. And again, we can send you some more detailed information afterwards, and I'm pretty sure Chris will talk a bit about this as well. And then, well, just looking at the time, because I think Paul is already waiting in the backstage area. Let's close it here, but thank you so much, Piero. I think it was very practical and insightful. And with that, well, see all of you guys in, let's say, 60 seconds with the next session.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.